Alright, so this video is going to be a little bit different. This is going to be about car content, okay? Because there's not enough of that on the internet, but I'm basically just going to be talking about everything I do not like about the Mazdaspeed 3. Now, keep in mind, I own one currently. I'm trying to get rid of it because this thing is a piece of shit. By the time this video goes up, I may have sold it. I may not have sold it, but whatever. But, you know, enough yapping. Enough yapping. Let's get into it. Pretty much, they're just pieces of shit. They're complete pieces of shit. I've owned mine for about 3 months, and a whole just roster of shit has broken in that little 3-month time period that I've owned the car. And you know, it's not some junkyard piece of shit like salvage title. It's genuinely like a low mile, like well taken care of, I guess, car. It's got like 127,000 miles on it, and here's all of the stuff that broke for me. Keep in mind, this is all within the 3-month period. So, the power steering pressure line had a crack in it that made a power steering leak. The water pump bearing completely grenaded itself. The AC compressor clutch was grinding horribly and broke. The serpentine belt tensioner also grenaded itself. The headlight just went out, but you know, that's normal. 2 of my tires debeaded themselves, and I feel like that's just more on the tire and not really on the car. The alternator just died.
That's not supposed to do that.
Just completely stopped working. The evap purge valve just got stuck open, and there was a horrid misfire that I had to fix like right when I bought the car. Now keep in mind, every single bolt on this car was torqued to goddamn a billion. I swear. Like, it was pretty much damn near impossible to get any of these bolts off, even with like, you know, a 6-point socket. And it actually drove me insane. It drove me absolutely insane. Not to mention, parts are ridiculously expensive for this thing. The power steering pressure line, like for a normal Mazda 3, since the pump and like power steering fluids, it's really weird in a normal Mazda 3. So the pressure line only costs around $70. Like if you're buying from an OEM, you know, an OEM parts dealer. But the one for the Mazdaspeed, they wanted $440 for that part. And a shop wanted $580 for just the power steering pressure line. And I ended up getting one off Rock Auto for like 120 bucks. But still, it's ridiculous how much more it costs just because it's the Mazdaspeed. And, I mean, I guess Mazda's 2.3 liter turbo is it's an interesting motor to say the least. Like, shit's just ridiculously expensive for absolutely no reason compared to other cars. I've owned 2 other cars, a 98 Integra and an 04 Accord.
I found a love for me.
And parts for those cars, I probably spent less than, I don't know, $300 on parts for those cars. And like, they broke decently often. The Accord was my baby though. I love that thing. I don't know why I got rid of it.
Because we were just kids when we fell in love.
But the Integra was a piece of shit. That thing was horrid. This is about the Mazdaspeed. A power steering pump for a Mazdaspeed 3 costs $260 give or take from Rock Auto. And Rock Auto's the cheap one. I actually can't imagine what motherfuckers are out here paying for their power steering pumps when, like, they're not using Rock Auto, when they're going through a dealer, when they're going through an independent shop who sources their parts from a dealer. It's ridiculous. I'd say probably the cheapest part I bought for that thing that wasn't like, you know, like a headlight bulb was, it wasn't even like, I guess the spark plugs, because they were like 10 bucks a piece, you know, but like, besides that, you know, it was probably the water pump, and the water pump was a good 70 bucks. And I know for the Integra, a water pump was like $30 or $40, but you know, that's a Honda from the 90s. Like, you know, it's a B18, like of course parts are going to be cheap for that. Maybe the evap purge valve, that thing was only like 30 bucks for a little piece of fucking plastic with a switch in it that just goes. It's ridiculous. It's stupid. I think the most ridiculous purchase was a new set of coil packs because I had a misfire, and I was just changing everything, just you know, just because. And like a full set of coil packs costed me $240, and they weren't even like OEM either. They were like AutoZone Duralast ones. And I absolutely hate working on this thing. I hate it. And the motor, I'm pretty sure, was co-designed by with Ford when Mazda still had their you know, their whole Ford partnership going on. Could explain this absolute rat's nest atrocity of a fucking engine bay. Like, I get it's a boosted car with a top mount intercooler, I get that, but like, holy shit, look at this fucking mess of wires. Like, oh my god, like, there's just so much shit going on. It's so hard to do anything in the top end. And I don't really like the whole top mount intercooler thing they got going on, because I had to remove, I mean, it's not hard to remove. It's just like 3 bolts and you disconnect, you know, the hot side and the cold side hoses. It's no big deal. But like, it's just annoying. Like, every single time I want to check my spark plugs, maybe let's say I wanted to check my spark plugs. Let's say I wanted to just get in there and see what was going on if I had a misfire. I have to take the intercooler off every single time. And like, or if I'm moving coil packs around to detect a misfire, you have to take the intercooler off every single time. And you're probably thinking, oh, why don't you just get a front mount intercooler? Why don't you just get a front mount intercooler? This is why I don't get a front mount intercooler. Another thing I have a serious problem with is the headlight housing on the passenger side. There's also absolutely 0 videos on YouTube on how to work on these things, like especially the Gen 1s, because I have a Gen 1. Like, there is no videos on the entire platform on how to work on anything in this damn car. So you either have to have a Pro Demand subscription, have like a service manual, and you can get it. There's a website where you can buy like repair manuals. I forget what it's called, but you gotta have that, or you gotta have a Pro Demand subscription, or you gotta have like all data or something in order to actually figure out what the hell's going on, because this thing's designed so ass backwards that you like, it's really hard to figure shit out on your own. For the power steering pressure line bottom end that connects to the steering rack, I had to go on a whole ass like safari to find that shit. Like, it's buried like up and to the left and like back, like behind the transaxle, and it's just a pain in the ass. Like, I should not have to do all that. Like, it should just be right there. What's especially annoying is if you're in a pinch and you need to figure some shit out, and all that comes up is just videos for the Mazda 3, just the regular Mazda 3, completely different system. Like, it's so annoying. Like, everything is different on that car, and I get it's the same 2.3 liter, I get it's the same series, but like, a lot of the design choices are just completely different. The frame and the jack points are also extremely brittle. Like, I have this like shitty little Walmart jack, and you know, you could be like, oh, it's because of your stupid jack. Why don't you spend $400 on a 3-ton jack, you idiot? Every time I would jack this car up from the driver's side, like, the jack point on the frame actually like caved in on itself. I don't know how or why that happened, but it just caved in on itself. And it's annoying because I have to put it at a farther back point in the frame, and it's just stupid because it's not your first thought to put it like farther back. You gotta know that the frame may just bend itself in half for absolutely no reason. And now every single time I jack that car up to do, like, you know, my 5th repair of the week, I'm just worried that it's gonna make a real loud noise and the frame is just gonna bend in half. Don't get me wrong, these are really fun cars when they're not broken or in the shop. Like, if mine wasn't so damn unreliable, I would love it. It's fun. And mine's a little not stock. But my access port's telling me I'm making 310 horsepower and 380 foot-pounds of torque, and that on a front-wheel drive car, that's so much fun. Like, almost 3,000 pounds, it's crazy. But, you know, it's not that fun if I'm just constantly worrying about it breaking all the damn time. And I drive a lot, you know, for, like, school and other things. Like, I drive really fucking far, because college is not close. And speaking of driving far, the fuel economy that this thing gets is absolutely horrid. And I know, like, you know, I shouldn't be complaining about fuel economy because, you know, it's miles per gallon over miles per gallon, you know what I mean? But, like, when you drive as much as I do, I drive around 100 miles a day on weekdays. And it's just crazy because I go through a full tank of gas, which you have to fill up with premium. And here it's not that cheap. And I have to fill up 2 full tanks in 4 days. And that shit's expensive. I spend around $125 a week on just gas. Now, if I was commuting somewhere close to me, like maybe 10, 15 minutes away, like a short drive, like it wouldn't be much of a problem because I would have to be filling up significantly more than like, an economy car, but like that, it would be fine for me, but I can't do it with this gas. It's so fucking expensive. Even when I go to cheap places like Costco or the 76 or whatever, it's still like $50 to fill the thing up. And I'm doing that like every 2 days. I have probably spent thousands on gas for this damn car in the little time that I've owned it too. And I'm just sick of it. I want to be normal again. Take me back. I don't want a cool car anymore. I want a fucking I want like a Civic or an Accord or something. Like, fuck. And then, maybe I can save up my money and get a little, like, shitty Honda. Or, like, maybe I can buy another Integra, like, on the side. And this time, it's not going to have problems when I get it. And it's not going to, be an auto or a sedan. I can, cars are not cheap, okay? Cars are fucking expensive. Just remember that when you're buying a Mazdaspeed. Remember that the maintenance costs are higher. Remember that parts cost more. And if you're trying to fix it yourself, good fucking luck. Unless you're like, a Mazda tech and you do this on a daily basis, then like, or if you are a tech and you do this shit on a daily basis, you're not a weekend mechanic, then like, good for you, like, go crazy, do everything your heart desires. But anyways, that was my little spiel about why I don't really like my Mazdaspeed and why I need to get rid of it. That's it. See ya.